This is it. Stop all the press. Your girl has some shit to say. Some of you may know me as Mahogany Stylez, the rapper, Mahogany Stylez, the boss, but this is Mahogany Stylez, the voice behind it all. I'm bearing it all, speaking my truth, whether who like it or not. I'm the princess of hip hop, raw and uncut and unfiltered. It's time to get vulnerable. It's time to get disruptive. It's time to connect. This is the Mahogany Stylez experience. I'm living it up. Either you hating, or faking, or grinding with us. All right, what's good, world? It is yours truly, the princess of hip hop, Mahogany Stylez, and we are back with another very special episode of the Mahogany Stylez experience. You guys know we do this thing each and every Tuesday and Thursday. Every single Tuesday, I'm right here in my corner pocket of the universe, bringing you guys the best in current events, culture, what's going on in Mahogany Stylez charmed world, and some tidbits of a little of this and a little of that. So welcome to my corner pocket of the universe. And then we bring this thing back all over again Thursday night from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Thank you to everyone who's been tuned in and supporting the show. I've been trying to mix it up for you guys. I've been bringing through some really interesting guests to kind of kick things off, share their truth, share their experiences with you guys. Today is no different, you guys. I have a very, very special guest coming through. This is episode 12, of the Mahogany Stylez experience. Today's episode is titled The Analytical Mind and Matter of Author Daniel Arfin. Let me give you guys a little bit of backstory on my special guest. You guys know that I like to bring you guys amazing people and amazing folks that I happen to just be friends with. These are some of the people that I love, some of the people that help shape my experiences that I bring through to the Mahogany Stylez experience vlogcast as I bring you this show each and every week. And I happen to know some really dope, amazing people doing really dope, amazing things in the world. Some in music, some in art, some in the writing sphere, and some in business, and so it's very, very important for me to give you guys the opportunity to showcase some of these amazing people that I know and love and have become a part of my Mahogany Stylez experience over the years. And my guest today, you guys, is no different. He and I used to sit tight. We're not sure if it's fifth period, fourth period, fifth period, sixth period, or seventh period, but he and I used to sit tight and banter back and forth as early as junior high school, you guys. So he and I have a long-standing friendship and history. We've gotten the opportunity to really watch each other grow and evolve and develop. So he and I are going to talk about that in just a moment. But my guy, Daniel Arfin, you guys, who I used to sit next to in computer class in junior high school, and then he and I have touched a couple of other classes here and there over the years. My guy's been busy in Vegas, living it up, living his best life, and has written two really awesome, amazing books. One of those books being Why the Fuck Did I Do That? Let Love Be Your Motivation. And then his most recent book that actually just recently dropped is What Has Happened to Baseball? A Concentrated Look at Analytics, Poker, and Intuition. My guy is brilliant. I distinctively remember Daniel being super brilliant and just having a very particular kind of mindset when you're in junior high school. Like in junior high school, you don't really actually have a personality exactly. You don't really have this defined character. But I remember Daniel sticking out to me because he had a very defined character. And I'm going to guess and assume that he probably felt the same way about me, that I had this really defined character. And so when you bring two defined characters together and watch them manifest and grow and develop, it's interesting to watch the journey. So here we are, two defined characters, me kind of still doing my thing in the arts and culture and music scene, and now my guy expanding out into writing some really phenomenal books that we're going to talk about today. So that's just a little bit of backstory on my guests that I am bringing through to share, and welcome into the Mahogany Stylez experience. You guys, give it up for my guy, Daniel Arfin. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much, Mahogany. Great to
Hey,
talk to
hey,
you again.
Mahogany Stylez experience. I'm glad to suck you into my bubble here. I think we're really going to have a good time. I know you've got some really interesting, introspective things to share, kind of about your books, about life. And I know for a fact, like I said just now when I was introducing you, Dan, I remember in school, you just having like some of the wittiest things to say. That's really what stands out to me is that you used to just say like the wittiest, funniest things. And you and I would kind of just like go back and forth. You're kind of were like sarcastic for a kid in the seventh grade. And it was really funny to me. I was drawn to it. And I remember also just kind of looking forward to hear whatever you were going to say next. And so it's no surprise to me that you end up a writer and kind of sharing some of your stories. That's my background on you and how I remember you, but I actually want you to share with the guests and give the guest your own version of what your journey's been like from junior high to where we are now.
Yeah, well, when we met, and by the way, I think it was the last period of the day in that
Okay,
computer
it was.
class.
It was.
They sat us alphabetically. I'm A, you're B, B for black. Yeah, our middle school was separated into like different countries, like A wing, C wing, and D wing, right? I was
Yep.
D wing. You were A wing, weren't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
A-wing. What?
Yeah, and I had no idea who you were, but I could tell after that first day that you were like really popular among people, and in a school full of Jews, lots of Jews, you were like you could count on the fingers of one hand of how many black kids were in the school, right? But you were there,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. I mean, you were there. You just started talking to me, and I was like, "Why is this girl talking?" I mean, it's like, all right, she's talking to me. She's not playing an angle. She's not being a dick. She's definitely not hitting on me. It's like she's just being friendly, which is kind of an unusual thing to have happen in middle school with someone you don't know.
Okay,
they come
cool.
up to you and they're being friendly. That's not usually how it is. So I mean,
Look, I had no idea.
I mean, I probably had some hair on my balls at the time, at that age, but I was it was getting more throughout that semester where we were talking about whatever in computer class. So you had all kinds of questions, and I was just like, I'm a New York Jew, so like I'm a smart ass, right? So it's like you were like giving me questions. You were just throwing me bait. So I was like, you were bringing it out. You were giving me a chance. I mean, I was pretty invisible in school. Like I wanted to be invisible. I didn't really want attention. Nobody knows who the fuck they are more in middle school more than any other time.
Can I say fuck that? The thing is, you did. That's my point in bringing it up. What I'm learning and discovering, what I'm seeing in retrospect, and fuck being popular. Like, thank you for saying I was the popular kid. And I get it. I was the popular kid or whatever. But now where I am in my life, like, and I look at the people who middle schoolers and junior high school kids define as popular, and those people are boring and dry as fuck to me as adults. So I recognize that was a value for me to see who you were. So you thought you were invisible, but me, who really paid attention to people who were special, I paid attention to you for that reason. You were really fucking special. You weren't the run-of-the-mill bullshit that you encounter in junior high. I wasn't fucking trying to be popular when I was talking to you or like trying to score another friend. I like sincerely recognized that you had something to offer and share with the world. And that's why I wasn't thinking that in junior high school, right? Like I wasn't actually thinking that, but in retrospect, looking back at it, that's why you and I are sitting here on the show talking today. It's not, I didn't go pick the fucking homecoming queen to bring on the Mahogany Stylez experience. You know what I mean? I didn't pick A-Wing's fucking president. By the way, I think I was A-Wing's vice president, and I had another position.
Of course you were.
I brought your ass on the show on the Mahogany Stylez experience because you had something fucking special to share with the world. Lo and behold, you did exactly that. So I
No,
wasn't
you're
wrong. Like
no, you were
two
right. You
shots
were
for me. I could have bet back then or whatever. Too bad.
you were keeping it real. I mean, no,
All right. So
your engaging was real. It was natural. So anyone who you engaged, who was willing to be engaged, yeah, you're gonna, you know, you were well to bring that out of people. So it was easy for us to talk and get along.
oh, I love that. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. I really appreciate that. And that sincerely from the bottom of my heart makes my day, and reminds me that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And that means a lot. Okay, so we digressed a little bit. Like, okay, so what you been doing since seventh grade? Like, what's been going on? Give them the backstory. I know some of the backstory, but fill us all in on like what you've been doing since then.
Well, school was hell for me from the day it started till it ended. And for years, I always wondered, like, what am I going to do? Like, when I was like 13, 14, I would like picture myself 20 years from then, which is now, and be like, it's like, what am I going to be doing? Because I have no idea. So, I started getting into theater at the end of high school. We had some very theatrical kids in our school, kids who wrote, kids who wanted to make movies. And you know, you went to South High School, I went to North High School. We started putting on some sketch comedy shows in 11th and 12th grade. And
I remember that actually. I do remember, and I remember wanting to, I'm a thespian too. Like I go back thespian super hard. That is really the base of my career. And I remember that like improv wasn't something so popular necessarily at the time, but as a thespian head, like I was drawn to it. And I remember wanting to come to North and kind of check out some of that stuff. And we didn't have that at South, or we
oh,
had like a
wow.
watered down bootleg version of it or whatever. And I remember wanting to come to North to check that out. I don't know if I remember that you were participating in it, but I remember kind of hearing and seeing that and being like, dang, we don't got that over here.
Yeah, right. Not till 11th grade did I ever have a thought about anything on the stage. But like all of a sudden, they put on a play one day with intimate style seating with chairs on the stage where it's like, so there's maybe like 80 to 100 seats on the stage, and all the actors are like, you can like feel them breathing on you pretty much. And that was that play was written, and I heard they were putting on sketch comedy at the end of the year, and I was like, well, hell, I mean, I want to give this a try. So this was kind of like on a very small scale. It's like just how it really works in the performance world, right? It's just who you know, right? So I was connected to the top of the North High School theater department, so it wasn't hard for me to get a part in the show. Not that I didn't deserve to be in the show anyway, but yeah. So I was loved performing, loved comedy. So we did those two shows, 11th and 12th grade. They did another dramedy, show in 12th grade about high school drama. So when I went to college, community college, I mean, I didn't really care to go to college, but I went to college and just did more performing arts there. And we did improv there also. Wait, we went to both. You went to Rockland Community College
Yeah,
too? Yeah, I
we were
never
in the
ran
show.
into you.
Dude, fuck that. We were in the show together. So the same show that you're talking about at RCC, I played Riley, the angry chick. Do you remember that?
What show? Which play or whatever?
The dramedy about drama in high school. That was either in high school or RCC. And I was in that show with you. You and I either did acting classes or a camp. We did a show together. As
We
you're
did
like talking about
classes.
memories are
We did
coming up.
classes, but yeah. Well, we weren't in a show, but we were in the classes. So like, you know, we
Okay.
were around. Yeah, but anyway, it's all
Okay,
right.
cool. So
It's a long time ago. Um,
I did I acted in a very similar show that I swore I thought you could have potentially been in. I played Riley, the angry lesbian chick at
oh, that
RCC.
well, yeah, that sounds like a memorable role for you. Yeah. So I got into
Lo and behold, look, hashtag I actually play that fucking character in real life.
right. Yeah.
Oh,
It's just so there was no acting at all. You just had to show up. So um, yeah. So I started doing improv more heavily at RCC because I like being put in those situations where, and maybe this is kind of what started with you and me in junior high school. Like situations that kind of scare people interest me because but it goes hand in hand with the fact that it scares people, where I just sort of think like, well, what's so scary about it? Like I kind of want to go out there and not be scared of it and show it's not scary and show that it's actually kind of funny and crazy to throw yourself into some situation where you really have to adapt, and
Right.
it's now that I never thought about it, never wanted to do it, but I found myself thriving in these situations where you're forced to make radical adjustments, and like uh and that's how I got into stand-up comedy too. um Improv and stand-up have a lot of differences, but both of them, I mean, stand-up is all you, right? Everybody's watching you, and
Right.
comedy doesn't lie. Okay, that's what I like about comedy, is if you suck, and if you're doing well. If they're not laughing, you're not doing well. If they're laughing,
It's
you're
probably not
doing
for you.
well. There's nothing else to think about. If you're just acting in a drama or whatever, I mean, you don't know what people think of your performance, and maybe to some degree that doesn't even matter. But you know what I'm saying? It's like it's. I don't mind being in that situation where you're kind of looking around and you're just surrounded by a bunch of people who are, you know, I mean, when people go to any comedy show, there's always going to be some people just like, looking at you like, come on, make me laugh, bitch, and
Totally,
it's
totally.
that, I don't know, that stuff. I like that situation. I liked being in those situations. So, you know,
It's almost like they practice their heckling on the way to the comedy show. Like, I'm going to go sit in the front row and be the biggest dick. Now perform, comedian. But that is why comedy for me, my heart calls to comedy a little bit, but comedy is freaking some of the hardest facets of entertainment there is. Like you said, you go
yeah,
on up there and you either are it or you're not fucking it, and they'll absolutely let you know, right? So I
yeah,
respect you for even being ballsy and bold enough to be like, hey, I think I'm gonna touch comedy. Or again, like your wittiness was very, what's the right word I want to say? Your wittiness was very, you're sarcastic. You're sharp tongued, and like your sarcastic nature, like that has everything to do with the foundation of improv and of comedy. And then I'm also very much an advocate that like life imitates art, and art truly imitates life in both ways. And that shows
mm.
up to me the most in comedy. Like comedy comes from like pain and, the fucked up parts of life, and then your fucking spin on it to make people laugh. Kudos to you for even touching the comedy scene at all. Okay, so go ahead. I
yeah,
digress even further.
yeah. That's all right. Yeah, it's. I already forgot what I was going to say. That's all right. Yeah. So I did the 4 semesters at improv at RCC. Went to college. Like a real college, right? Dropped out of that right away. Finally, just kicked and screamed and begged my parents till they finally let me out of college. I just wanted to work and do stand up in Manhattan, and I did. So from ages like 20 to 22, I was out doing stand up, kind of on the reg. Um, I felt like it's something I could do, so I felt like I should do it, and this actually kind of segues well into one of the one of the themes of why the fuck did I do that.
Cool.
But before I get there, yeah, like the comedy I wrote was not that funny. I mean, it was okay. I had my moments. I had some good shows. It was I'd say like every show, maybe 20 to 30% of the crowd thought I was funny, like really funny. The ones who thought I was funny thought I was really funny. Everybody else just thought I was weird, okay? And it's there was a lot of them maybe by the end of the set, which is usually 5 or 7 minutes, like just when the crowd was starting to get used to me, then I had to get off. So
Then your whole set's over. All
yeah, a
right.
lot of a lot of the comedy I had to write wasn't that great, but when something would happen, when the audience would start heckling or something random would happen, and I had to start making stuff up, like that I was good at, and I was also okay with just dropping my material when it wasn't working and just start vamping. And I noticed a lot of amateur comics weren't doing that, and it's like your job is to be funny no matter what, like whatever it takes. for God's sake, be funny. So if nobody's laughing, you'll always get a laugh if you acknowledge that you're not being funny, because that breaks the tension. Because it's more the crowd, like it's more awkward for the crowd than maybe even for you. The crowd feels awkward watching some guy bomb. It's just you can hear crickets chirping,
And they're
so
like,
if you crack a joke about how you're not being funny, that'll always get a laugh. As a comic, that's not really what you have in mind, but comedy can be very momentous. Laughter is very contagious, so you can start to turn things around. Like it's one night I did some industry showcase event where I wasn't really ready to do it yet, but I did it anyway. And it was a typical show. It wasn't going that great, but I started improvising. That started being funny. And the MC told me after, he's like, that's the way you have to write, is what you were doing there at the end. But it's the toughest thing I've noticed in stand-up is like, it's like you're writing jokes. Like you're trying to be funny, but like when I'm trying, I'm not as funny as when I'm not trying.
It's
so
not,
like, how do
when
I
you're not
try? How do I try
to not
without
try?
trying? Yeah, how do I try to not try? So, it's going to be a mind fuck from that point of view. And look, I knew I had some talent for it, and I knew that I could do it, but something about it, the whole time, just going in that rat race, it just felt forced. It just wasn't as effortless as getting up to just go. Anything you love doing, you just do it effortlessly. You don't even think about it. Like no matter how
Right.
difficult it might be, it takes nothing out of you to go and attempt to do it or work on it. Like with stand up, it after a while, it kind of felt like I was just dragging myself out there, and that was it. Like and I was getting into poker at the same time. Like around 2003. 2004, 2005, everyone and their mother was getting into poker, and poker was a game I felt came very naturally to me, and it was like all those other things, like comedy, where you're forced to adapt radically, right on the spot, all the time.
Right.
You're juggling so many different things at once. It was kind of right up my alley in that regard, because in fact, all the things I've gotten into doing are things that you get to do alone. You write, you're by yourself. You do stand-up, you're by yourself. You're playing poker, you're by yourself. Just all individual efforts. Like that's what seems to draw me in. But
so I'm guessing you're an introvert. Is it safe to say you're an introvert?
I mean, if you want to right, if it's, you could say so. Yeah, I would say that more so than an extrovert. Like I could be very talkative. It depends if somebody wants to hear it. Like, we're in middle school. I was very quiet. I'm still pretty quiet for the most part. But if somebody wants to hear it, then I'll give it to them. I could go.
My God, Dan, you're gonna give it to him.
You wanted to hear it in middle school, so you got it. And
I did.
But anyway, so here's one of the themes here. When I was writing Why the Fuck Did I Do That? And I started writing this book, when I started getting really burnt out on poker. I just came home one night and it just started pouring. I just started writing a million things. Just a million things I've been thinking about for years and just never put on paper. But it's tough when there's something you're good at, because you feel like maybe you should do it just because you're good at it. But that has nothing to do with whether or not you like it, And the same thing goes for things that you don't like. You might or are not good at. You might love something that you're not good at, but you gotta do it because you love it. So I feel like when people think it's something that they can do, and maybe it's something they should do, and those two don't necessarily go hand in hand. I think it's just whatever feels effortless. Yeah.
Do you think that, are you referring to, because this is for me, how I'm interpreting what you're saying, it's like a common theme in my life. Are you referring to just like moving in your passion, like moving through life in your passion?
Yeah, I mean, and I think that all just comes from your intuition, from listening to your heart, and just making every decision, just moving in the direction wherever your intuition just pulls you and just takes you there effortlessly, and you just follow it without thinking about it. It's so simple, I've read that a wise man is simple. And
Mm.
I think the simplest thing to do is to just listen to your heart. Do you want to do this? Yes or no? And it's a decision that usually comes to you right away. If somebody asks you, you want to do something, hey, you want to go this, can you do this for me? And sometimes your heart, you feel it, you literally feel it in your heart. Your heart just kind of like gives this like this wrenched feeling, and that's no. It's just like, and sometimes that happens, and a person does it anyway, because they feel guilty for saying no.
Been there,
right?
done that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, who hasn't? It's this society has taught us so many ass backwards values that none of them make any sense. Hence why the most of the world is miserable most of the time. Okay, and I'm not even saying I'm an exception to that. I mean, it's like
he's like me included. Goddamn.
Yeah, I know. It's like because here's how I feel like it's not hard to tell when somebody's miserable, right? And I feel like there might not be an in between miserable and peaceful. Maybe there's different levels of it. Okay, but it's just like I've read that a meditative person, a peaceful person, what makes them so meditative and peaceful is the fact that nothing really seems to upset them or rattle them or bother them. They're just cool with whatever. They can talk about whatever. They can read about whatever. Like they don't, like I've met a lot of people over the years who are, want to go down like a spiritual path, want to go down like a path of peace and love and all that. And all that's great. And I'm not even trying to like hate on these people. It's just that though, these same kinds of people get so butthurt about so many things, and you can't joke about anything with them. And it's just, I used to kind of question that, and I started thinking like, well, what the fuck? It's like, I'm just fucking joking. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is not supposed to be so serious. Like,
right.
This is not supposed, like, but there's a fine line. Like, it's not that you make a big joke out of everything, but it's like, we're just trying to, I'm just like, like when people make Jew jokes, people make fucking racist jokes or whatever, like, they're just joking. So if they're joking, whether or not I think it's funny is not the fucking question. It's like, they're joking. I once got booed off the stage at the New York Comedy Club because it was 2 days after Christmas. I was making all these jokes about Jesus, and I tried to take on this persona of the angry comic, and I had a feeling this wasn't going to go well, and I was right. It didn't go well. It was with a crowd that didn't seem to like anybody that was going outside of just the mainstream typical jokes, and okay, they didn't think it was funny. Fine, but it's like it's fine. Okay, whether or not it's funny is not the question. It's like you're at a fucking comedy club. It's like
comedy
show. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like people go into a comedy club and they still think the way they think, like they do out in the world. It's like,
yeah,
this is a comedy club. Like whatever I say, in some form or another, I don't mean it. Like so, it's. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just.
I totally understand.
Even if it doesn't amuse you, like when I hear people talking shit about somebody or whatever, like they're venting their frustration, they're letting it out, like they're trying to be funny about it. So it's like these are things that don't upset me. Things that I'm not going to take too seriously and start getting butthurt about. Because I'm trying to be all righteous and like protective and loving and all these things. It's like you're just feeling angry. So, like, what's so fucking meditative and loving and peaceful about that? You tell me.
That's what I said. It's like the hecklers that literally, like, pump themselves up on the way to the comedy show to be a dick. Like, I just don't understand that. Like, when I'm on my way to a comedy show, I'm literally in my head pumping myself up to laugh at all of the absurdities. You know what I mean? Exactly like how you said it. Like, you're going to a fucking comedy show, like, to laugh and to fucking make fun of life, because fucking at the end of the day, life is hard, so we should laugh at it. I enjoy laughing at all of the bullshit that is life, because life in itself for real is hard. Wait, you're talking a little bit about the book. I want to ask you a couple of questions regarding the first book. Like, who is this first book for? Is this first book for like folks in life trying to figure it out? Is it a highly motivational book? Like, who's your audience for this first book?
Okay, yeah. Why the fuck did I do that? Is written for anybody who, I guess, like you said, trying to figure it out, you know. And as I'm trying to figure it out too as I write this freaking thing. It's, I was so pumped and thrilled when this book came out because it's my first book. Yay! Oh my god, And
Yes.
within a few months of writing this thing, I was like, yo, what the fuck is this shit? I was like, it's that's. I mean, this is not a typical way to promote a book, but that's all right. I'm just going to tell you what I think about this book because most artists are so critical of their own work anyway. And, you know, this book was the stepping stone towards the next book. It's like I had to write this book in order
This
to
one,
write the
yeah.
next book. It's like, so even though, I felt like I wrote this book 10 years ago and not 2 years ago, uh, it's, it, you know, it, what the fuck am I saying right now? Like, it's this book is written for people who are trying to figure it out. Yes. And, it's got some value. I talk about a lot of hypothetical situations people find themselves in. And these are just commentative essays on the human condition. It's just a lot of the chapters are really short. You don't have to read this book straight through unless you want to. You can jump around, read it in whatever order you want. There's dozens of chapters about different things, something that might catch your eye, just and I'm just talking about stuff, just random stuff. What do we do? Why do we do it? What are we thinking? Why are we thinking it? Why the fuck did I do that? And I feel like this is a question tons of people have asked themselves about tons of things, consciously or unconsciously. So I'm trying to just get into that. And when I say let love be your motivation, I guess it's just from the point of view of just always trying to think of the greater good and always trying to, just have integrity for every situation you're in. Integrity being just upholding the best interests of every person in every situation. Just treating others how you want to be treated. Everybody talks about doing that. Everybody talks about how important that is. And if the whole world actually collectively did that, every
Did
problem
that?
would disappear. Like every problem would disappear. There wouldn't be any problems with money. There wouldn't be any problems with this, that, you name it. There wouldn't be any problems because everybody's getting the treatment that everybody's treating each other the way they would want to be treated if they were in a fucked up situation.
Dude, I love that you say that because I don't know, like I used to be worried about being politically correct. And so the Mahogany Stylez experience was kind of created for exactly that purpose to no longer have to feel pigeonholed to being politically correct. And you're a New York Jew. I'm
Yeah.
clearly not a New York Jew, right? Or I'm not clearly, but I'm not a New York Jew.
It's pretty clear.
Practicing I'm a practicing Christian by like label, but really I am just personally a God lover. Like that's me. But really, religions and structured religion have formulated like all of these codes and rules and principles behind like their specific approach or perspective or interpretation of certain things. And what I just took from what you said as like that should really be everybody's religion. Like moving with a good heart and your character, like really that's life's religion. So it sounds like your book is kind of based on like the ideology of like I'm a hippie, I don't know, just like the principle of one love, or at least like coming, your motivation is to come from that place of like a one love place while we all go through the ups and downs and bumps and bruises of life, I guess, or whatever, and all try to fucking figure this shit out together. And we know, like, we get it. Everyone's individual like journey is a fucking challenge of highs and lows and ups and downs. But I think if the world kind of did more of what you just said, we could support one another's journey a little bit better. You know what I mean? And then that would help everyone maneuver through the world, like, I don't know, a lot more freaking rainbows and sunshine and butterflies or whatever. I think that would be groundbreaking, but are we prepared to really do that as a culture and, as a society, as a whole other freaking show? We could probably
no, we are not prepared, but it's not going to happen globally anytime soon. But hey, look, all we can control is what we do. So, it's important to me that I be considerate of people, just be a man of my word, things like that. Those things have always been important to me. That was led very well by example by my parents. They were never late to anything. Everything they said they were going to do, they did. Like, just fairness. All I want is fairness. Like, I don't want to, it's not worth it to me to like take advantage of some situation or let somebody else get fucked on my behalf. Like, it's not worth it in the long run, because of where that's coming from, where the need to do all that, the need to get something or get somewhere and get this temporary high, which is not even that satisfying after you get it, because as soon as, because with the more, when you want things, right, how often is it that you get something you want and it wasn't even that satisfying? It's because if you want something, you're just always in the state of wanting something. And when you get something, now you want something else. So you're just, there's always something in the queue. There's always something missing. So what you described before about, religions and stuff, I mean, it's all just to like have control over you and keep you coming back to the religion and submitting to the religion. But I think to really be religious is just recognize the connection between you and the rest of the world, everybody. See how there's no real actual separation between us, only in form as it appears, right? Just to be in tune with your intuition, in tune with your heart, connected to your consciousness, like that is the meaning of God, not some guy floating around in the sky with a beard and sits on a throne and he tells you if you're going to heaven or hell. Like, that is a bunch of nonsense designed to possess you and make you scared. And it's been done quite effectively all over the world.
I'm coming to realize, Dan, man has agenda. And a lot of what you just said, in terms of like intuition and following your heart and doing so comes from a place of intention. Are your intentions fucking good intentions or are they not good intentions? And it's just that simple. Look, our show is rocking and rolling. Please tell the people where they can find your first book. Where can they find Why the Fuck Did I Do That?
Yeah, it's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target, Walmart, like, all those main online bookstores. You can, if you write Why the Fuck, see, I got it right here. So you just have a little check it out here.
Awesome. Hold that up for us. Yes. You guys support my guy.
Yeah.
Like I said, I recognized this special genius a long time ago.
Yeah, right. So you can type in the title. Fuck has a little star in it after the F. Or you can just type my name in, Daniel Arfin. It'll pop up. It's depending on what part of the path you're on will have a big impact as to what you think of this and all the crazy little stories I got into. Like, but anybody reading this book, I think could figure out, like this author is trying, he's trying to fucking share his point of view. He's trying to help us out. He's pretty lost himself, just by, and you could tell that just by how many grammar mistakes they are. And that was a reading mistake. As an author, I wrote this book the way I talk. So I thought, and I was aware of it while I was doing it, but I was like, you still got to have your commas, So I got a lot of missing commas. I got a lot of missing commas in there.
Is the book one long run-on sentence, Dan, or what?
Well, in a way, maybe it is, but it's.
I love it.
In a way, in a sense, but it's like, all the mistakes and contradictions and hypocrisies written in this crazy thing. I don't know, in some funny way, like maybe that's kind of all part of the charm,
I very much like it. You guys, I want you to support Why the Fuck. Go find that again on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, any of the major online book retailers. Go support my guy. Dan, we've got, a couple more minutes. I want to give you the opportunity to talk about the newest book.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Let me make sure I state the newest book. And let me tell you that I love your long ass book titles. Thanks.
Yeah.
I love long
Yeah.
ass book titles or whatever, but they intrigue me and they suck you in. So tell us a little bit about the second book. This is your latest book, and it's called What Has Happened to Baseball: A Concentrated Look at Analytics, Poker, and Intuition, which you kind of, I feel like, have talked about the intuition thing kind of from the first book. So tell us, like, what's the second book about? Where are you going with this one?
Yeah. So I've been diehard baseball forever, and
You have.
yeah, and I didn't get into poker till I was 18, but I was diehard that as soon as I got into that. So this particular book, I mean, you figure most of your readers are going to be sports fans, baseball fans, poker players, whatever. All that, everything I talk about baseball and poker related is kind of just on the perimeter of
Okay.
what this book is really about. And, the underlying theme of intuition is uh, applicable to anybody. So, but I wrote this baseball book because analytics has really just taken over the way baseball is. It's just taken over baseball, from player development, talent evaluation, how you assemble the team, how the game is managed in game, and it's become very numerical. And just watching it as a fan, without being too old school and being too caught up in the way things used to be, this isn't so much about being resistant to change. It's just what you're
Okay.
looking at, this isn't right. This is being too overdone.
Okay.
Analytics
Ah.
is, yeah, analytics is great stuff. I mean, this is not an anti-analytics book. Analytics is studying, well, in baseball's case, studying statistics, studying performance in a very intricate and scientific way. It's
Yes.
extremely data driven, and it's all useful stuff. But you know, it's so logical that if you use nothing but logic, it actually undoes itself and becomes illogical. Like
Yes.
when you have, for you to have a black and a white, a black and a white on and off, like
Hmm.
a yin to the yang, you
Hmm.
can't have logic without illogic. So,
Correct.
so if you're gonna have logic, illogic has to exist one way or another. And it sounds crazy because illogic has this negative connotation, but in whatever walk of life you're in, you're gonna have to be illogical at times. You're gonna have to do some things that are against conventional wisdom, are against the
Hmm.
book, are against what you're told to do. Like it's it's like nothing like to be logical all the time is illogical by itself. Like, because illogic still has to exist. So if you're gonna be logical all the time, the illogic just spawns automatically. It's gonna spawn from overdoing logic. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
what
I
I'm
do.
so what I'm lobbying for here is to not be just logical and not just be illogical. Is to listen to your intuition and let it drive you in the direction of a logical or illogical decision. Logic is something you can write down with math and numbers. It's going to the lab. Illogic doesn't really have an explanation, and that's okay. That's not as dangerous as it sounds. What's dangerous is just getting attached to either approach. Because I'm not saying just be illogical either. If you have this pre-plan to always be logical or to always be illogical, you're never in the moment. You're never actually seeing what's happening in front of you right now. So you
Right.
can you can succeed with a logical strategy. You can get to the moon with a logical strategy, but if you want to get to the stars, you're going to need both because logic and illogic have a way of complementing each other, and they're meant to work together. They're two sides of the same coin, and the coin is intuition. So, whether it's baseball or poker, and now I'll talk about it how this pertains to poker. Okay,
Got it.
now the analytics of poker is something called game theory optimal. All right, GTO. Um,
Okay.
it's something that a lot of advanced poker players, it's something that any advanced poker player is going to know plenty about. You know,
Okay.
using GTO is something you're going to want to do against another when you're playing against another advanced player, especially among the internet poker players, which is a different version of the same game, but extremely advanced if you're playing online. Um, but if you're going to play with GTO, the important thing to remember is when not to use it as much as when to use it. And when you're playing against
Mm,
some inexperienced amateur player who's just a sucker, doesn't know about any of this stuff, you know, you could just keep it simple and you could think outside the box a little more and you can make some more unconventional decisions that, you know, go against the principles of the computer, go against the formulas, go against the calculations. It's not logical, but it makes sense in this particular situation because of who your opponent is. It's like circumstances change. So as circumstances change, so too should your decisions. Whatever walk of life you're dealing with. Like, and it all comes from the heart. You know, I'm not. I mean, I would say most of my biggest mistakes on and off the poker table were illogical. Were doing things from like, fuck it, let's just do it. You know, that's where most of my mistakes have come from. But you can make, you know, you can hold yourself back by just being too calculated, too intellectual, just too much. You know what I'm saying? Just being too like
a
the
lack of the
computer.
intuition,
Yeah, right. I know.
the lack
You,
of the intuition
yeah,
part. It's
you
like the
disconnect. Yeah, you disconnect from your intuition anytime you get attached to a certain way of doing things. You know, if you're a poker player who's attached to using game theory optimal against every opponent, you'll make money, but you're going to leave a lot of money on the table too. And
mm,
we're all trying to like be the absolute best we can be, and being the best entails you got to make exceptions sometimes. Sometimes you have to do things that the proven formulas say you shouldn't do. But, life is not a formula. I mean, the formulas help. So analytics in baseball, it helps. We have a much clearer understanding of how well each player is performing. We have a clear understanding of, you know, what wins. But there are still certain principles, certain routes that you can't just throw out the window. Like, for instance, in Major League Baseball, it's just all come down to like power pitching and power hitting. They just want pitchers who can strike you out and guys who can hit home runs. It's not the game is not nearly as dynamic as it once was. And I'm not complaining
mm.
about that because I miss the way they used to play baseball. I'm complaining about it because it's fucking retarded. Because not everybody is built to get on the mound and throw 100 miles an hour and strike everybody out. Not every pitcher is built to do that. Some of them are. Let the
And
ones.
isn't that again the in between that makes the game, like the guy that helps support that player or makes that position what it is, the in between things, in between even the analytics and just like the smaller simpler steps. That I'm not a baseball, look, I'm not like the biggest
Yeah.
baseball fan, but my dad has always been a baseball and very much a baseball and statistics kind of guy ever since I can remember. But to me, as I hear you talk about that, that's just like life. That is like you're saying, just like taking the art and the ideology of the
Yeah,
balance of the science
exactly. The
and
balance.
just and the creative side of both sports, baseball and poker. But then you need the in between. You need the intuition. You need the life stuff to happen in order for it to be what it's really supposed to be or meant to
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
I
Like
love that.
we have our natural skills. You know what I'm saying? Like we have things that we're just good at, and those are the things. If you're a baseball player, figure out what his natural skills are, and get and develop those good skills into great skills, and that is how you will maximize the value out of this particular baseball player, rather than trying to force a round peg into a square hole, trying to make him hit home runs, trying to make him throw 100 miles an hour when he's really not built to throw more than 92 miles an hour. A lot of major league I mean, when it comes to pitching in Major League Baseball and you're trying to get a hitter out, a lot of it is a mental game, just like playing poker. You're trying to figure out what they're expecting you to do and then doing something else. And it doesn't matter
Guy.
how fast you throw. If you fool a hitter, if a guy is expecting, you to drop that 75-mile-an-hour curveball on him and you throw an 88-mile-an-hour fastball, he's going to be blown away. He's not going to catch up to it. And 88
What the
miles
heck
an
is that?
hour is not that fast for a fastball in Major League Baseball, but if a hitter is fooled by the speed, he's never going to hit it. So
Correct.
I'm just lobbying for, the balance. It's logic, I think, is going to be your bread and butter. I mean, if you're a poker player, you have to know game theory optimal. Like, you have to know these things. These are fundamentals. And in baseball, you
Right.
have to know the analytics as well. You have to know the numbers, but you have to know your players too. As a manager, his job is to understand how his players work, what makes them tick, and just like, and you combine the two. You combine the math with what you can write down, and you combine that with just your connection with the person, something you can't really write down, something you can't summarize, with the way you connect with somebody, you and me in middle school, it's like, I mean, you could write it down, but like, it's not really like written down at first, you know what I mean? Like, it's just something that's just
Right.
you know what I'm saying? So this is what I mean. Look, there's a lot of baseball fans who are getting pissed off about this. I mean, there's the math nerds, they love it because they're getting what they want, but they're living in their box, and it's making the game stupid. And there's a former baseball player, Bill Madlock, who played in the 70s and 80s. He was a great hitter, 4-time batting champion. I went to his batting cage one day, and
Cool.
I got lucky with the timing. He just got there. He was just reading a newspaper. I was like, yo, I want to talk to you about analytics. Like, and I talked to him for about an hour. Yeah, I talked to him for about an hour.
Research for the book. Was that research for the book? Like, were you like, oh yes, timing?
Well, yeah,
awesome.
I mean, that, and then just to get a shared opinions, to get a former major league player and a really good one, who just I wanted to hear what he had to say about it, and I kind of expected him to agree with how I felt, and for the most part, he did. And
okay, cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is anybody who talks to me about life. I'm going to be talking to them about as simple as just listening to your heart. Like, it's what does your heart say to do? Never mind what your mom says or your dad's or your friends. I realize how difficult it can be to stand up to a bunch of people and make your own decisions that everybody's going to condemn. They think it's stupid. It's not this. It's not that. It's blah, blah, blah. None of that stuff even matters. It's you just got to do what you got to do. And those people, they may hate on your decision. Your mom may hate you for going here to doing this when you do it. But in time, your mom will actually come to respect you for doing it because you made your own choice in the end. In the end, you loved yourself. And if you love yourself, you're loving everybody. And that's inspiring, It's not. It may not come easily. It may not come right away because there's so much ego for power and control, and your parents are just trying to protect you, and that's all well and good. But like, we all got to make our own choices, make our own mistakes, fall on our face, whatever. It's and if pain hurts, when pain comes, just let it hurt. And don't try to fight it. It's like. Just like when you're happy. When you're happy, you want to get every drop out of it. You don't want it to end. You just want to let it go on. You got to let your pain hurt as well.
But it's got to go on too.
Don't try to fight it. It's like, don't try to block it out and think, oh, I'm being negative. It's like, it's okay if you're hurting,
Do you have a printed copy of what has happened to baseball? Do you have a printed copy that you can?
Boom.
Bam! Dan, let me just tell you, like I said, I can't wait, number one, for my dad to check out this episode. I know he's not tuned in right now because he's at work. Shout out to all of the essential workers and such, my dad included. But I'm super excited about letting my dad watch this episode, which will probably honestly be the very first episode of the Mahogany Stylez experience that he's watched.
Okay.
And then also to you, I will definitely be supporting you by purchasing this book for my dad. I definitely want to, because my dad has used baseball many times in my life to help raise me. And
Oh wow.
coincidentally, even though I didn't turn out to be like the biggest baseball enthusiast, I just remember my dad making a lot of like sometimes statistical references and sometimes not necessarily so statistical references and like how to maneuver through life. So I'm super excited. I'm absolutely going to support you in this way by purchasing the second book for my dad. I'm going to purchase your first book for myself. We're killing time. I told you this was going to be the most organic, awesome conversation, and thus far it has been. I've truly gotten a better opportunity to understand both of your books. I feel like I've gotten to know you a little bit better in the in between time. And before I let you get on out of here, because I know that you guys, Dan is tuned in on West Coast time right now, so it's hella early in the morning for him, and I appreciate him joining us first thing this morning. Dan, I do some really cool segments on all of the Mahogany Stylez experience shows. In today's segment, we're doing the unpopular opinion. So I am hoping you will participate and play along with me in our unpopular opinion segment. To everybody who's tuned in right now, you guys, I have author Daniel Arfin in the building, checking in with us on the Mahogany Stylez experience. We are about to get into this is not a brand new segment for us. I think we've done the unpopular opinion before in the past, but we're about to get into our unpopular opinion segment. And my unpopular opinion moment this week goes out to, excuse me, my unpopular opinion segment goes out to people who take to the internet. Despite the fact, Dan, that you said, we should not be so sensitive or whatever, but I think when like real life shit happens for people, I don't know, like getting fucking shot. And if you guys don't know where I'm going with this, I'm actually talking about allegedly Tory Lanez allegedly shooting Meg the Stallion recently while they've been hanging out and potentially maybe even dating or just kind of hanging out in the friend zone, and led to an altercation and an incident in where Tory Lanez has now turned around and allegedly shot Meg the Stallion. So like, I'm all for the jokes and the games, Dan, like we kind of talked about, like life is fucked up and you got to laugh along the way. But what I'm not for is like people who take to the internet to turn something like that into a shit show. Like someone could have fucking died. Thank God that she didn't die. Someone definitely ended up in prison or in jail at this point or whatever. So I just want to encourage everyone, dude, I'm for all of the fucking hilarious memes on the internet. I promise I probably take a couple of minutes out of every day because life is freaking hard just to check out a couple of funny memes and laugh about them or whatever. But let's just be mindful, you guys, about how we take to the internet to make fun of the things that are going on out in the world. Let's just be a little bit more mindful and sensitive with real life shit, like when people's lives are on the line. So that's my unpopular opinion moment, you guys. Be mindful how you move in these internet streets when shit goes down. Try to censor your memes a little bit. Fucking be sensitive. Like, what if it was your mom or your sister or your dad or your uncle or something happened to you? So just like keep it cool in the internet streets. We're not for the internet bullying. That's my unpopular opinion moment. I am your girl Mahogany Stylez with the unpopular opinion moment for the week. And we still got Dan Arfin in the building. And so, Dan, I've got you jumping on this unpopular opinion bandwagon. You and I were joking earlier and talking about how you and I kind of both have had maybe, like a little bit of a kind of cynical approach to life. So I'm super curious before I let you go and get out of here. What's your unpopular opinion moment that you think?
Regarding this incident? Regarding what you're
Any
talking
incident.
about?
You don't have to speak. That was my unpopular opinion moment. It can be anything that you want. Just what's your unpopular thought?
Yeah, well, look, everybody fucking dies, and all this corona shit. I mean, how much worse can death really be than all this,
Wow.
If you die,
that was fucking bad.
If you die, I'm, very sorry for those who are gonna grieve it, and all that. But whatever. I mean, your time came. All right, and I don't mean like fuck you. It's just like whatever. So you died. Big deal. It's not. It's the end of. Well, I guess it's the end of your world here,
Your world.
right? Yeah,
Right.
it's the end of your world. It's not the end of the world. So,
The world.
I mean, how much worse can death be than this? It doesn't. I mean, I'm not saying I want to die right away. You know, if somebody was coming at me with a spear, I'd probably try to avoid it. But it's if that's my time and this is the way I go, I mean, so be it. It's like I'm very curious about death. I think that as long as we're all going to be really scared of death, then we're never going to have a chance to actually be alive. So I embrace death whenever it comes. You know, it's like it's not like when I wake up, I'm like, damn it, like I was hoping I wouldn't wake up. I mean, you know, it isn't quite like that, but you die, so be it. In the meantime, just we say all the time, you just be yourself. Listen to your heart. Like, how do you be yourself? Listen to your heart. Like, it's I people are scared to be themselves because they're not going to be accepted because it can attract attention because they stand out. They just don't want to be noticed. They think it's easier to be fake. I think being yourself is much easier than being fake. I feel
Totally.
uncomfortable when I'm being fake. I feel
It's
what
a lot
feels
less
more.
work.
Yeah, right. What feels more easy? What feels easier and more effortless and more relaxing than when you're just being yourself? And
So,
in most cases, it's when you get drunk or really fucked up and then you feel like you're being yourself. That's why you feel great, right? But all those drugs and alcohol, they're teaching you things. They're teaching you how to be you. So the next time you get really fucked up on something, pay close attention to how you're being, and without trying to replicate it, but just remember that feeling. Just remember what was going
wow.
on. Remember what was going on, so that'll take away your need for the drugs and alcohol. It's like, I love drugs, okay? And I love drinking. I don't do either one that often, but I do it once in a while. And, it's
Right.
like a good little reminder, but you know, you don't have to depend on it. It's like, because all those drugs, it's not inventing anything about you. It's showing you something that's already there. It's bringing out something that's already there, and it's just taking you there. It's kind of like the fast lane to it, letting go of all your inhibitions, but it's
Totally.
already there. It's all in your heart. The mind is all fucked up. The mind has everything backwards. The mind is just full of contradictions. It's living in the future. It's living in the past. It's never right here and now, and that's where your heart is. Your heart doesn't worry about later because your heart is only thinking about right now. It's not certain that later is going to arrive. Like, there's no certainty. Like, there's going to be fear and insecurity. Like, it's never going to go away. You're never going to just be happy and it's just going to stop. Like, for every moment of happiness, there's going to be a moment of unhappiness, but that's okay.
And that's
That's
all
okay.
good.
Yo,
Look, Dan,
yeah.
we are like, first of all, I freaking love that unpopular opinion moment. Probably one of the greatest segments on the show so far, hands down. Like, for facts, I'm promising you that. You couldn't have honestly said that any more realer on the planet. My takeaway from that is, people, be out here and live life. Life is here for us to live, not to move in fear. Dan, you circle back around to just like my basic foundational approach to, again, what's religion or whatever, live life. If you walk around in fear and living in fear and trying to please people and trying to be politically correct, you're not going to live, and you're going to miss out on this life that you're so busy trying to hold on to. So you guys, remember to live life to the fullest. Don't walk in fear. And Daniel, kudos to you and shout out to you for like the dopest segment thus far. I love the unpopular opinion moment we just had. That's totally going down in history on the Mahogany Stylez experience. And that being said, you guys, we're literally out of time. Daniel, thank you so much for coming through. I knew we were going to have a great chat. This was an awesome chat. I want the viewers to go support you, support the book, connect with you, because you got some great stuff to share with the world and people who are maneuvering through the world trying to figure it out. Tell us where we can get in touch with you and how we can find you.
Yeah, so Instagram, Dan Arfin, baseball author. That's how you can find me there. And, look, I've been thinking real hard about this life shit forever. I mean, and I'm just as fucked up as most people. All right, my days are just like everybody else's. But like you saw going back in middle school, I felt an interest to look a little closer at some of these things. And why be so scared? Okay, it's like you don't gotta be. Like nothing's gonna like you're not gonna like. If you got a question for somebody, you got help, just ask. Like, no one's going to throw a rock at your head. You're not going to like you're so afraid of dying and you're so afraid of living at the same time. It's like, it's fucking crazy, right? I mean, that's what a lot of struggle. I mean, I empathize with that struggle for people. It's not like I never experienced it, but I just looking around at stuff as a young kid, and just seeing all the things that people were scared of, and just thought, well, let me do it and try and show that it's not so scary. And it doesn't have to be so miserable and just uptight. And, it's very liberating when you decide what you're going to do and then you just do it. I know I'm kind of all over the place here, but that's where I'm at right now.
Respectfully, my guy, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for just coming through and kicking it. When things get normal, I don't know. I know you said Vegas isn't exactly what it is, but I'm hoping to return back to Vegas in the near future, kick shit, have you teach me a little bit more poker, and just do some more catching up. I'm really looking forward to us linking up. I know the last time I was in Vegas, I really wanted to connect with you, and I just, my flight wasn't able to. So we are going to catch up in person very, very soon.
All right.
I literally was out partying. I went from partying straight to flight, like legit. I'm not going to deny that. We all were like super white boy wasted on the way to on the way to our flight. So I'm not going to deny that.
Well, that's what Vegas is for. That's why
I hope for us to sit down in the near future.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. You guys, again, Dan Arfin in the building. Thank you so much. I am going to be making sure I include in the description section the link where you guys can support both of the books. Dan, thank you so much. It's been so real, and I will talk to you soon.
All right, no doubt. Bye, everybody.
Take care. Yes, you guys, this has been such a real episode of the Mahogany Stylez Experience, episode 12, The Analytical Mind and Matter of Daniel Arfin. Such a blast. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. Thank you for continuing to tune in and rock every Tuesday and Thursday right here on the Mahogany Stylez Experience podcast. Y'all are lit. You're an entire vibe. I encourage you guys, if you are interested in being a guest on my show, if you are interested in sponsoring a segment or the entire show, all you got to do is get at us in the email, themahoganystylesexperience@gmail.com. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing my YouTube channel. You guys, I am steadily on the way to 1K. Help me monetize my YouTube channel. I need 1,000 subscribers to make that shit happen. And I am counting on you guys to support the mission and support the wave. If you guys enjoy what you see here, you're loving the dope content that I am delivering on the Mahogany Stylez Experience, you can drop us a donation at TMS Experience on Cash App. Again, TMS Experience on Cash App. I'm out of here. Thank you for kicking it in my corner pocket of the universe. It is me, yours truly, the Princess of Hip Hop, Mahogany Stylez, y'all. And I'm out of here for the week. You guys rock. I love you guys. Mwah. This is it. Stop all the press. Your girl has some shit to say. Some of you may know me as Mahogany Stylez, the rapper, Mahogany Stylez, the boss. But this is Mahogany Stylez, the voice behind it all. I'm bearing it all, speaking my truth, whether who like it or not. I'm the Princess of Hip Hop, raw and uncut and unfiltered. It's time to get vulnerable. It's time to get disruptive. It's time to connect. This is the Mahogany Stylez Experience. I'm living it up. Either you hating or faking or grinding with us.